Hello and welcome to German Lessons with Mr. Ferguson. Hallo und herzlich willkommen zum Deutschunterricht mit Herrn Ferguson. Diese 10. grammatische Stunde, the 10th grammar lesson, ist Komparative und Superlative, Comparatives and Superlatives. Before wir anfangen, please remember to like this video, bitte klickt Gefällt mir, and to subscribe to my channel, so that I can keep helping you with your German. Bitte vergesst nicht zu abonnieren. If you're enjoying my videos, please consider buying me a coffee by clicking the banner now. All contributions are gratefully received and allow me to continue to bring you new and exciting German content whilst keeping it free to access on YouTube. Thank you to those of you who've already contributed. It's very much appreciated. Vielen Dank. In order to fully understand this lesson, it's important that you understand what an adjective in German is. An adjective is a describing word, and they are used to describe nouns, which are things. If you aren't sure what a noun is, please click here to watch my first grammar lesson on the gender of nouns. In this video, we will be looking at forming comparative and superlative forms of adjectives. A comparative is the form of the adjective that compares two things. For example, small, smaller, quick, quicker, interesting, more interesting. In German, forming comparatives is easy. Firstly, take the adjective. Let's use the word for small, klein. Add er to the end, kleiner. And that's it. For a comparative that uses the word more in English, such as more interesting, we again simply add an er in German. For example, interesting is interessant, more interesting is interessanter. The only minor rule when forming comparatives is that if an adjective has one syllable, it will have an umlaut in its comparative and superlative forms, if it contains a vowel that can have an umlaut. For example, groß meaning tall, größer meaning taller, stark meaning strong, stärker meaning stronger. If the adjective has two or more vowels that can take an umlaut, you can leave the umlaut off. For example, doof, meaning stupid, doofer, meaning more stupid, laut, loud, lauter, louder. There are only a few exceptions to this rule, two of which are worth learning now. These are gut, meaning good, besser, meaning better, hoch, meaning high, höher, meaning higher. And that's all there is for comparative adjectives. It doesn't matter how long the adjective is, you can almost always just add er. Another important word to know is als, which here means than. Quick in German is schnell, so quicker is schneller. You are quicker than me would be du bist schneller als ich. Notice that we use the nominative case here, ich rather than mich. An interesting spelling quirk that it's worth mentioning here relates to adjectives ending in an er, such as teuer, expensive. If the er ending is preceded by a combination of vowels, such as eu in teuer, we will remove the final e before adding the er to form a comparative. Let me demonstrate. In the word sicher, meaning safe or secure, the comparative will be sicherer, safer or more secure. To say more expensive, we say teurer rather than teuerer, which is too difficult to pronounce. Another element that ties in with comparatives is how to say more and more. For example, more and more people are using mobile phones, or energy is getting more and more expensive. To do this, we use the word immer, meaning always, combined with a comparative. The first example here uses the word mehr, meaning more. Immer mehr Leute benutzen Handys. For the second example, we combine immer with the comparative teurer. Energie wird immer teurer. The final element of comparatives is how to say less, such as in the following sentences. She is less rich than her sister. I am less talented than you. To do this, we use the word weniger. The adjective wenig means few or little, with regards to quantity, and so weniger, the comparative form, means less or fewer. We simply combine this with the adjective. For example, sie ist weniger reich als ihre Schwester. Ich bin weniger begabt als du. A superlative adjective is one which expresses the highest degree of a certain quality. For example, smallest, biggest, fastest, most interesting, most exciting, etc. To form a superlative, simply take the comparative form, including additional umlauts, and instead of adding er, add ste. For example, lustig, funny. Lustigste, funniest. Laut, loud. Lauteste, loudest. Notice here that because the adjective ended with a T, we add another E for pronunciation purposes. Groß, meaning big. Größte, meaning biggest. Notice here that because the adjective ended in an S sound, because of the SZ, we only add TE. To use a superlative in German, we have three options. The first is to use the definite article, for example, a word for the, in front of a superlative, and then a noun, for example, the most interesting lesson, the most entertaining film, the oldest car, the nicest houses, etc. In German, these would be die interessanteste Stunde, der unterhaltsamste Film, das älteste Auto, die schönsten Häuser. To use this form, it's important that you understand how the definite article works in all four cases: nominative, accusative, dative, and genitive. And if you're not sure about that, you can start by watching my nominative case video by clicking here. The second option is to use the superlative with possessive adjectives. For example, my oldest friend, her youngest sister, mein ältester Freund, ihre jüngste Schwester. To learn more about the possessive adjectives and how they work, you can watch the video by clicking the banner now. The final option is to use what's called the predicative form of the superlative, which essentially means that it's used after a verb and that you do not need a noun. You use this when it's obvious what you're talking about. For example, when it comes to running, Usain Bolt is the fastest. In my family, my brother is the oldest. In this example, we don't need to say the fastest runner or the oldest sibling, so we can use the predicative form. To form this, we use the word am before the superlative with an n ending. For example, Usain Bolt ist am schnellsten. Mein Bruder ist am ältesten. Similar to comparatives, we have the same two exceptions when forming superlatives. Gut, meaning good, beste or am besten for best. Hoch, meaning high, höchste or am höchsten for highest. Notice here that this is what we would expect with the word hoch. Finally, it's important to know that comparative and superlative adjectives will still gain adjective endings in the same way normal adjectives would. For example, I have a younger brother would be Ich habe einen jüngeren Bruder. It's a good idea to pause the video now to remind yourself how adding er to adjectives usually forms the comparative form, when to add an umlaut, the word als, which means than, and how to create a superlative by adding ste or forming a predicative with am and sten. Habe ich etwas vergessen? If you're a native German speaker and think I've forgotten something important about comparatives and superlatives in German, please write a comment below. Bitte schreibt einen Kommentar. Finally, remember to click subscribe to receive all of my German lesson videos, language learning tips and updates. You can follow me on Instagram with the username Herr Ferguson or on Twitter under @Herr Ferguson. Otherwise, from me, it's Danke und auf Wiedersehen.